The night the power went out, it wasn't a city malfunction, a rogue storm, or a faulty transformer that plunged my home into darkness. It was pure spite, weaponized by Lillian Harper, the HOA president who ruled Willow Creek with an iron grip and a perfectly trimmed hedge. At 2 a.m., during the worst heatwave our state had ever seen, temperatures hitting 112 degrees Fahrenheit with warnings of rolling blackouts, Lillian, armed with bolt cutters and a smug grin, slunk across my backyard like a villain in a low-budget flick. She declared my solar panels and heavy-duty generator an eyesore, a blight on the neighborhood's flawless charm. So, she sliced the main line feeding my emergency grid, scurrying off as if she'd vanquished a suburban apocalypse. But she hadn't just cut my power, she'd started a war. And I, Nathan Brooks, wasn't the type to lose, especially not to someone whose greatest triumph was banning inflatable Halloween pumpkins. Lillian had no idea her sabotage would ignite a rebellion, turning her petty blackout into her own downfall. 3 hours earlier, I'd been lounging in my living room, savoring the cool blast of my industrial-grade AC, the hum of my fortress-like setup drowning out the TV anchor's grim warnings. Stay indoors, hydrate, brace for outages. The heat wave was brutal, but I was prepared. Solar panels covered my roof, a battery bank the size of a small SUV hummed in the garage, and a generator stood ready to roar. Months of planning had turned my home into a sanctuary against chaos. But I hadn't counted on Lillian, who loathed my defiance of her HOA rules. My navy blue front door? Unapproved. Solar panels installed without her blessing? A scandal. My pickup truck in the driveway? A violation of her garage-only decree. To Lillian, I was a rebel. To me, I was just a guy living his life, uninterested in her suburban tyranny. Lillian lived 3 houses down in a tacky mansion, its lawn littered with plastic gnomes that flouted her own HOA regulations. As the self-proclaimed keeper of standards, she harassed neighbors while ignoring her own infractions. She'd fined Maggie Turner for her cat's excessive purring, cited Carlos Rivera for planting unapproved tulips, and tried to ban my barbecue, claiming steak smoke polluted the air. When the power cut, my house went silent. AC's dead, fans still, darkness total. Heart racing, I checked the breaker and generator. Both were fine. Then I pulled up my security footage. There, in grainy clarity, was Lillian in flip-flops and a shine-on tank top, gleefully snipping my power line, twirling her bolt cutters like a cheerleader's baton before vanishing into the night. Fury surged, tempting me to storm her door. But as sweat dripped in the stifling heat, a sharper plan formed. Lillian wanted a blackout? She'd get one alone. I'd light up Willow Creek, every house but hers, and turn her sabotage into a community victory. By sunrise, I'd make our block a glowing haven, leaving Lillian's home a sweltering tomb. My backup power network, built for emergencies, could support neighbors with some tweaks. I spent the night rerouting lines, setting up wireless relays, and tweaking circuits. By dawn, every home except Lillian's blazed with light and cool air. ACs hummed, garage doors opened, and stunned but grateful neighbors stepped outside, marveling at their salvation. Kids played in sprinklers, Maggie raised a glass of iced tea and toast, and waves replaced tense frowns. Lillian shuffled out in a frayed robe, flashlight in hand, her hair a humid mess. She stood, fists on hips, glaring at the radiant street, her face a mix of shock and rage. She marched to rally her HOA loyalists, but they were relaxing in their cooled homes, ignoring her frantic calls. From my window, sipping coffee, I watched her dial and pace, her empire unraveling. I could have restored her power, but this was about principle, survival of the least petty. Lillian had tormented Willow Creek for years, nitpicking wrong shrubs and loud laughter. Now I'd make her the outcast. As morning broke, the block buzzed with life. Lillian, wilting in her yard, tried flagging down a utility truck. The driver, after a confused chat, shrugged and drove off. She dragged orange extension cords to Maggie's outlet, but Maggie, armed with my footage, confronted her, yelling about trespassing and no free rides. Lillian retreated, cords trailing as neighbors chuckled. Later, Carlos texted a photo, Lillian rigging cords to a public light pole, captioned legal. I replied, not even close. A city crew arrived, warning her of fines for tampering. Her desperation was a spectacle, each misstep tightening the noose she'd woven. Grilling burgers that evening, I hatched a bolder plan, a neighborhood energy festival to seal Lillian's isolation. I sent texts, printed flyers, and by noon, my backyard was a carnival. Grills sizzled, coolers brimmed with iced drinks, and a local band played under solar-powered lights. Neighbors danced, kids bounced in an inflatable castle, and laughter drowned out the heat. Lillian's house loomed dark, a silent monument to her failure. Glances her way sparked smirks, karma at work. Midway through, she emerged, clipboard raised, shouting about unauthorized gatherings. The crowd ignored her. Some jeered, raising cups. I called out, "Join us, Lillian." No bolt cutters allowed. Laughter erupted. She tripped over her cords, sprawling into a juniper bush, clipboard flying like a white flag. Humiliated, she slammed her door, dust falling from her porch. The festival glowed into dusk, lights twinkling while Lillian's windows stayed black. Carlos clapped my shoulder. Should have done this years ago. I grinned. Took one bolt cutter and the worst HOA president. The next day, photos of our lit block flooded community chats, a beacon in a heat-ravaged city. Messages poured in, thanking me for saving Willow Creek. Lillian, unbowed, posted flyers for an emergency HOA meeting to condemn my illegal grid and party, demanding attendance with veiled threats. I pinned her flyer to my fridge, laughing. She thought she could bully us back in line. She was about to learn the tide had turned. The meeting convened at 6 p.m. in her driveway, a wobbly table holding a tattered HOA binder. Only 20 neighbors showed, smirking or sipping iced drinks, there for the show. Lillian accused me of endangering Willow Creek with an unauthorized grid, her voice shrill. I let her rant, then presented a folder, signed neighbor consents, city ordinances allowing private power sharing, and an official's email praising my grid's relief to the strained system. I passed it around. Neighbors grinned. Lillian's face reddened. Maggie, wielding a megaphone from her lawn chair, proposed ousting Lillian for misconduct. Cheers erupted. Lillian shrieked about legality, but ballots appeared in a repurposed trash can. The vote was a landslide, 2 votes for her, likely her own and her cat's. I was named utility coordinator, a new role sealed by resolution. Lillian stumbled, fleeing, her clipboard a discarded surrender flag. The crowd planned a freedom cookout, but Lillian wasn't done. Saturday, Carlos texted a photo, Lillian with a shady electrician tampering with our grid's lines behind her house. I called the police. Officers caught them mid-act, the electrician claiming Lillian misled him. She faced charges for utility tampering, grave in a heatwave crisis. Neighbors snapped photos, glee barely hidden. I met the new HOA committee, pushing a civil suit for vandalism, endangerment, and damages. Evidence, footage, statements, photos, was overwhelming. Lillian settled, paying steep damages and selling her house to cover costs. Her for sale sign marked her defeat. Moving trucks arrived. Neighbors watched, sipping drinks, cheering softly as Lillian's SUV vanished. I proposed a permanent solar tower in Willow Creek Park, unanimously approved. Volunteers built it, a sleek beacon of resilience. At its unveiling, under twinkling lights, I revealed a plaque, "Light over pettiness," the Lillian blackout. Laughter roared. Kids played, neighbors bonded, the tower a testament to unity. On my porch, Carlos handed me a beer. "Her bolt cutters started this," he said. I nodded. Darkness made us build light. Willow Creek thrived, free from Lillian's shadow. Neighbors lingered by mailboxes, swapped tools, and planned potlucks. Maggie's unapproved daisies bloomed boldly. Carlos's porch swing gleamed turquoise, defiant. I sketched solar plans for every home, electricians volunteering for seniors. Half the block had backup systems within weeks. Our grid became a permanent cooperative. Gratitude overwhelmed me. Pies left on my porch, kids drawing power hero cards. Lillian's house stayed dark, a relic of her reign. Her pleas for support flopped. Allies waved and walked away. Her final gambit, caught rigging cables with another sketchy electrician, sealed her fate. Charges piled up. Tampering, vandalism, endangering lives. The civil suit crushed her. She fled to relatives, her house sold, her legacy erased. The tower's completion was a celebration. Food, music, kids racing under solar lamps. The plaques revealed drew cheers, a nod to our victory. As I walked home, Willow Creek glowed, alive with chatter and barbecue scents. Lillian's blackout hadn't broken us. It forged a community that would shine through any storm. Her pettiness sparked our defiance, and her defeat cemented our unity. Willow Creek was ours again, lit by trust, not fear, with a solar tower standing tall to prove it.